Yo, what's going on everyone, and welcome back to another Forsaken guide. In this guide today, we have Coolkid, so I'll be showing you how to play Coolkid like a competitive player. So if you're excited for that, please like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out. I will put the times on screen right now if you want to skip to a specific part. But other than that, let's hop right into this video. Something you're going to notice in all of these clips right away is that I am almost completely out of stamina, which means I know my opponent is completely out of stamina, which means I can get a Corrupt Nature for free. And you'll also notice that in almost all these clips, I am right up against the survivor's face. You usually don't want to use Corrupt Nature if you aren't right up against the survivor because the odds of it hitting it just goes down drastically, or if they go down a completely linear path. But as you can see in all these clips, I'm almost completely gassed out on my stamina, which means the survivor is too, and I can get a free Corrupt Nature hit pretty much, which usually will lead to a kill, depending on how low they are because you get slowness from it. But that's the best way, in my opinion, to use Corrupt Nature is when you're completely gassed out, just go for the Corrupt Nature hit, but only do it if you are right up against the survivor. If they're even a decent distance from you, don't go for it. Don't go for it. It's really not worth it. Or when guest blocks, you can get a whiff punish for it as well, but those are the best ways to use it, in my opinion. When it comes to Walkspeed Override, do yourself a favor and just don't use it unless you're trying to get distance like this. If the survivor is super far away from you and you're kind of gassed out, you can use a walking speed override into a wall like this to gain some distance back, but when it comes to just using it outright, I just don't recommend it at all. Coolkid is a fast killer. Coolkid kind of plays like Jason. So if you're missing a walk speed override, you give up so much of your advantage, and in my opinion, that's just not worth it. The absolute best time to use pizza delivery is when the survivors are at a prime loop spot like the one you see in the video, because that's honestly the only time minions can really do something. Spawn your minions at one side of the loop, wait for your minions to start going around one of the loops, and then go the other way, because no matter what the survivor does here, they are going to take a big chunk of their stamina. They'll either avoid the minions and run around the minions away from you and takes a lot of their stamina, or they run past the minions and straight into you. Either way, you're going to get a pretty good advantage on the survivor if you do it right. So coming into game one here, the first thing I noticed is that there's three Elliots, so I need to take these guys out immediately, and luckily I do find one immediately, and I just go into an immediate chase with them, and here I'm not going to be using any abilities. I know I just want to rush this guy down until he's completely dead, because there's three Elliots here, so there's no reason to mess around in any way. I get a couple good hits on him there, and he takes off because he gets stamina on me, but he tries to go around to the killer door, so I'm easily able to cut him off. I do a really dumb thing there with the walk speed override, which is why I told you don't use it. Don't use the walk speed override unless you're just trying to get distance, pretty much. It's because Coolkid plays so similar to Jason, it's just not worth it. But Shedletsky was being a little foolish there, so I just immediately get to drop him because he's just kind of running around, not really with any purpose. I immediately get back onto my target, that was the Elliot, and here, as you can see, I tried to use the walk speed override to get distance, but that's a very bad spot to try to get distance at. That's why it didn't work out very well. So once again, I'm trying to catch right back up to the Elliot. And of course, people are actually trying to help him, which is pretty rare for a public server. But eventually I do catch up to him because it was only a matter of time with the difference in our pathings, and he's going to go down pretty soon. Once again, I try to walk speed override for distance, which is just dumb. I was playing a little dumb right here. But no worries, I only get a minor stun there, and I do catch up to the Elliot finally. I set my sights onto the next Elliot and immediately get a hit on him because he wasn't expecting it. He's out of stamina because he's been trying to follow his teammates around, so I get another hit on him right there. And then a third, and I know he's completely done for probably. And he is right there. As you can see, he's done for. And now I'm setting my sights on just at whoever's closest. Now there's only one Elliot left, and that does happen to be this guest right here. He's doing decent with his loops, but not decent enough. So and then I'm like, oh shoot, this is freaking laggy as heck. But we keep on schmoving, and this guy goes to a pretty bad looping spot, so I get a free hit on him there by doing a quick little fake out around going one way. And that's the thing with short loops. You can go one way, then immediately go the other way, and that's almost impossible to react to. So I do get the kill on the guest there because of a greedy walk speed override. So I set my sights on the Elliot once again. And here we go. I make sure to get full stamina. Make sure to get full stamina before starting this chase pretty close, alright? Because that's something you're going to notice in all of my videos that I honestly don't touch on enough. Whenever I start a chase, I make sure that I am as close to the survivor as possible and then get full stamina. I get a free walk speed override on the 2 time because I could tell they're inching closer to me. And that's another time maybe you could use walk speed override because I mean I'm getting good at recognizing that, but it's just something that's really risky. Noticing when people are getting too close to you or trying to stun you, trying to stay close to you, you can do a walk speed override and then shift lock straight at them. But again, kind of situational there. 2 time is just running right at me, so I get another free kill there. And now I'm like, all right, here we go. Last 2 people, let's do this. I immediately try to go find one of them because it takes a little bit. But I end up finding the guest here shortly after spawning my minions. Or no, I don't spawn him here. But I see he's at the prime loop spot on this map, so I just immediately start going at him once I have full stamina, because you don't want to start chases unless you have full stamina. That is something that I really need a more detailed breakdown on in a future video for you guys. But I do catch up to the guest immediately because of that, because of his poor pathing. He misses his block, so I get a free walk speed override. And that's pretty much going to do it for him. He's running out of stamina, he's resort to juking, and he's dead. So last up here is Shedletsky, and I notice he's popping a soda, so I'm immediately getting wary of that. So I stay on the inner circle, because this map is horrible. If you stay on the inner circle and wait for your stamina to go up, you will eventually catch someone in a bad spot. Like right here, he starts waiting around this rock, which is such a small loop. I wait until I'm at full stamina pretty much before I start chasing him, because now I know I'm going to catch up to him. We both started really close to each other. We both have full stamina. It's inevitable I catch up to him. I was seeing the stun coming, so I dodged that and immediately get the walk speed override on him. And now I know he's almost got nothing in the tank and he's dead, as good as dead here. So what I'm doing there is I'm staying on the inside of the map because there's nowhere a survivor can go that's out of your reach. And then I get full stamina once he's around a bad corner, and then finish him off from there. So I start this game off seeing someone in one of the worst corners of this map, so I immediately go there and just try to take him out. And this guy I thought was AFK, so I immediately just try to take him out. He stuns me, and now we're off to the races. The game has begun. I immediately keep chasing this Shedletsky because I got a ton of free damage on him. There's no need to worry about the guest right now. And at this spot, be wary of people trying to juke you and fall at weird angles. Just make sure you're always watching where they fall, and you'll easily have no trouble getting juked out at that weird little hill there. But he runs out of stamina, so I get another hit on him and take him out right there. I see a group of people over here, so I just go for a greedy walk speed override, but it does actually end up working, so I'm able to start the chase on this 2 time right away since they've just missed their stab. Well, they didn't miss their stab, but they've just used their stab, so I know that they don't have a stun to do anything about it against me. So I hit him once we run out of stamina with a corrupt nature, as you saw earlier in the video, and finish him off. And now I can use a walk speed override and get a cheeky hit on this Elliot, and I was like, whoa, how did that connect? But apparently if you walk speed override into the bridges now, you just go flying. So I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to take advantage of that. I see Elliot rounding the corner there and do finish him off with the corrupt nature. A bit of a greedy corrupt nature, but if someone's being very obvious on where they want to go and you have a kill shot with your corrupt nature, then what the heck, why not try to go for it? Because I would have caught up to them later if I missed there anyway. So eventually I sent my sights on this guest and try to get distance back, but I didn't expect him to come back and actually try to block that. So now I know he has a punch, but right here he comes back and charges at me. So I'm like, oh man, this guy must be low on stamina. He's ran back to block my thing, and he's also ran back to charge me. So I know he's got to be relatively low on stamina, and that punch doesn't really matter since it only lasts about a second and a half. And yes, as you can see, he's resorted to juking, so I just stand still, let him try to juke me, and he goes for his block immediately, and then he's gone. Because you gotta know, guest block cooldown is only 20 seconds, so once you feel like you've had a good amount of time, always be wary of that. Guests will block really preemptively more often than not, so just always be careful of that. And you can get a free walk speed override punish or corrupt nature punish. I summoned my minions here to see where these last 2 guests are, and it seems like they're not over here, so I just immediately run the other way to the other corner of the map. I use walk speed override for distance here because, of course, walk speed override against guest especially is practically worthless. It's practically a move you're never going to use. So I do finally see them at the graveyard here and begin chase. I do only begin chase with 80 stamina, so I am being a little careful here. but Guest charges directly into me, so I'm like, okay, I think that made up for our deficit, so I'm going to keep on chasing here. And then it kind of does. He gains a little bit of stamina, but not really enough. I do get punched here, a very good punch by him. He starts running across this bridge, and now I have full stamina, so I continue the chase with him. We're about even stamina here, I believe, so I just run around immediately and not waste any time there, and it does turn out that my assumption was correct. He's trying to juke way too much. Honestly, if he just kept running, he probably would have escaped me here. I go for a super greedy walk speed override. I should not have done that, but it does end up working out, and it does get me the kill here. And now I see that this last guy is on top of the hills, which is a perfect spot to summon minions, because no matter where he goes, I can almost back him into a corner with these guys. He tries to run this way, but I try to cut him off, and he realizes this, so he changes his direction, which is smart by him, but now the minions are coming for him. So I try to cut him off once again so that my minions can get to him, and he realizes this, so he runs back the other way. And now I'm like, okay, I'm at 70 stamina, and this guy's been trying to dodge my minions so much, he probably is almost out of stamina. And of course my assumption is correct. I get a hit on him here, and I get another hit on him here, right here, shortly after. And guess you can tell when they're rearing to go for a block, because now this guy's backed into a corner, and I immediately read the block and finish him off. Guess will usually only block when they feel super threatened. That's why you can kind of go for a check hit to check what kind of player they are initially. But let's move on to the competitive 1v1. So in the competitive 1v1, you can get a more streamlined breakdown of how to chase down one guy, and that's why I put these here. So let's start. We start the match here, and immediately I'm thinking, all right, it's a guest. I'm probably never going to be using Walkspeed Override in this match because that's just what you do when you're against a guest. They're going to block your Walkspeed Override. That's what they're saving it for, so you're probably never going to use it. I immediately see he's right here, and that's a pretty bad spot for him, pretty bad positioning, so I get all my stamina back and start chasing him, and immediately get a couple hits on him. I get that hit, and then I get the Corrupt Nature hit, and now he has slowness, so I try to take advantage of that and catch right back up to him. And I do. I get a free hit here on him, and I'm already like, alright, this is a great start for me. I go around the corner, which I probably shouldn't have. He gets a free punch on me there because I was getting a little too overzealous. You need to be careful of guests always. Don't try to get too crazy with it. I used Walkspeed Override for some distance here. It kind of works out, kind of doesn't. I would say that it kind of did. I try to go for a little fake here, but he reads me and gets the jump on me. But I do end up catching up to him anyway, and I almost zero out there, which scared me, but I'm okay. And then I try to go for another walk speed override for distance, which is really just not what I should have been doing here, probably. But he ends up running the other way, and I continue my chase. And through the house we go. My pathing is a little tighter than his, but he gets another free punch here. And I'm like, dang, that sucks. That's not the greatest. But I can catch up right back to him because I know we've been trading stamina here, and because he especially went for a charge there. So the walk speed override for distance does work in this case because of that, and I do end up finishing him off, even if it was at the cost of a lot of walk speed override mistakes. To recap everything we've gone over once again, with Corrupt Nature, you only want to use that when you are right up against the survivor, pressed up right up against them, and you are both completely out of stamina, and you know it. Other than that, you're just giving the survivor time to get distance from you, and it's really not worth using that ability other than that. When it comes to Walk Speed Override, you really never want to use that at all either, unless you're trying to get distance. And there's a safe way to get that distance, like running into a wall. But other than that, usually your walk speed override is not worth using. For pizza delivery, you always want to make sure that when you use it, your opponent is at a good looping spot which they can loop you around for a good period of time. And that's kind of the only really good spot you can use your pizza delivery or minions at because, well, that's what they're made for, is to cut survivors off. And at the end of the day, you really have to realize that Coolkid plays really similarly to Jason, because if you haven't noticed, I've been saying, oh, well, these abilities aren't good to use, really, unless you're doing it in this specific situation, or unless you're in this specific situation. So at the end of the day, realize that your stamina is your best friend, and your speed is your best friend. Coolkid is fast. He's a fast killer who has a couple tools that can really just finish the chase off. Is kind of what they're made for. So just make sure that you don't waste your time using abilities in random places. And with that said, I hope you all enjoyed the video. Make sure to like and subscribe, it really helps the channel out, and I'll see you all in the next guide.